I'm Jasmine Hood Miller from Common Sense Media, and this is Centered, a space for Black families to find balance and center our children, community, and values as we raise healthy and happy kids in a world of media and tech. There's an increasing amount of discussion these days about youth mental health. The U.S. Surgeon General, along with the American Academy of Pediatrics, have declared a youth mental health crisis in the United States. And recent research from the CDC highlights that girls specifically are feeling this crisis at higher levels than any other group. At Common Sense, our years of research into the connection between technology and mental health has put social media in the crosshairs of this discussion. But we wanted to really understand how specific platforms play into the lives of today's teen girls. Where do they spend their time online, and what do they come across while they're there? Our latest research report, Teens and Mental Health, How Girls Really Feel About Social Media, gave teen girls an opportunity to weigh in on the debate, sharing their opinions on the value of social media in their lives. In this episode of Centered, we're diving deeper into the research findings as they relate to girls of color, and we'll speak with experts on the relationship Black girls have with social media, plus share practical advice for supporting the mental health of our girls. Teens' relationships with social media are complicated. Although many of us parents today did not grow up with social media, most of us know from our own experience that it's not all good or all bad. Positive experiences that help connect girls to community, to resources, and help affirm their identities are available, but they continue to exist alongside racism, hate speech, and dangerous content. And while they know that it isn't always the best for them, teen girls feel it plays a huge role in their lives and how they build and support their relationships. Among girls of color, TikTok and Instagram were cited as the platforms where they're more likely to come across both racist content as well as content that celebrates and affirms Black girls' identities. 7 out of 10 adolescent girls of color who use TikTok or Instagram report encountering positive or identity-affirming content related to race at least monthly on these platforms. Roughly 2/3 of girls of color who use TikTok and Instagram report coming across racist content on these platforms, with 1 in 5 saying they come across it daily. When it comes to finding resources and helpful information about mental health, the majority of girls report regularly coming across helpful mental health information and resources on social media. However, among girls with moderate or severe depressive symptoms, roughly 70% who use Instagram and TikTok say they come across problematic suicide-related content at least monthly on these platforms. This report also reinforces what we've found over and over again as we've undertaken this research. Teens who are already at risk or experiencing mental health challenges are also more likely to be at risk for negative impacts from social media. But those same teens are also more likely to find the benefits of social media, like finding resources, community, or support. Nicola Pierce-Smith is a licensed professional counselor and the founder of Melanated Women's Health in Pennsylvania. She's also seeing this trend with young Black girls in her practice.
That's something that I'm realizing with social media, regardless of the platform, is that if used appropriately, it's really a good source for education and community building. It also has the negative factors that I have noticed while working with Black teens, as well as people as young as in the elementary or middle school age level. Their brains are just developing and they're really vulnerable to information that they're receiving online. And typically the algorithm either promotes or pushes information that promotes stereotyping of Black folks in a negative way, or it's perpetuating white normative standards of beauty. So that's definitely a problem. There's also these unrealistic expectations of what bodies look like because there's not much body diversity that exists online. And when I say body diversity, I mean skin tones, body sizes, and body shapes that exist.
We'll hear from Nicola again later with tips on finding balance, but I wanted to dig a little deeper into the symbiotic give-and-take relationship Black girls have with social media. As some of the most creative content makers, Black teen girls are both hyper-visible to brands and society at large when it comes to shaping pop culture, and yet simultaneously silenced and invisible when it comes to crediting them for their contributions. Those TikTok dance challenges that got us through the pandemic, most were created by Black teens. And when marketers want to know what's next and what's cool, all it takes is to simply scroll the TL of our daughters, nieces, and little cousins. Journalist and cultural critic Ile Ife Okunta explains the unique experience and mental toll this insidious or more low-key systemic racism takes on our girls.
It's easy not to give Black girls credit because that's what the standard has been. So now when you see Black girls feeling empowered enough to be like, hey, like I can find community online, their accounts are like billboards for what's cool. Everyone gets to see that like magical Black teen style trend setting influence, whether it be fashion, what they're listening to. You just have to get on TikTok or Instagram instead of having to actually interact with these communities. Once you finally find a place that you can be authentically me, and then you see other people benefiting from it in a way that you know that you never will, and in a way that doesn't even acknowledge your existence, makes you question your own self-worth. And especially younger women who are already dealing with mental health issues in the type of society we live in, it's hard to see yourself as being simultaneously like a shadow and like the bearer of all the fruit in the world. It's very confusing. A lot of my own issues and internal mental health stems from that, and the feeling of not being seen but bringing so much to the table is like deep when you don't even realize that's what's happening.
So how do we find some balance? Undoing systemic racism is a fight that takes all of us, both impacted communities and allies. But here's what we can do as parents and caregivers within our homes to support teen girls in having more positive and healthy experiences with social media. First, have regular conversations with your child about their mental health and well-being. The stigma of mental health issues in our community has been an evolving conversation. One of the best ways to look after your daughter's mental health is to regularly ask how they feel and share how you feel. Creating a safe space for regular conversations about teens' lives on and offline will build trust and give them an outlet to talk about their mental and emotional well-being. Don't be afraid to talk with your teen about suicide. Keep an eye out for any warning signs like feeling hopeless, withdrawing from favorite activities, or engaging in risky behaviors. Ask them if they've been thinking about suicide or hurting themselves, and seek out professional help right away if needed.
So the change that I'm seeing is that there's more conversations online about mental health and wellness or mental health concerns, and then the differences between mental health and mental illnesses, because those are two distinct things.
Second, affirm your daughter's identity with positive messages and validate the mixed feelings they might have about using social media. It's normal. It's easy for girls to find themselves comparing their real-life reflection in the mirror to what they see online. This can create feelings of body dissatisfaction and low self-esteem. To counter this, give your girl positive messages about their body and have discussions about what's real and not real online. Look for role models who embrace and uplift the beauty of true diversity. Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles, and Taraji P. Henson, each celebrated and criticized for prioritizing their own mental health, are advocates changing the definition of what it means to be a strong Black woman.
There's also more celebrities or public figures that are openly talking about their histories with mental health concerns and seeking out a therapist. So that's helping to create more narratives.
Third, create a circle of support online and offline. Girls need safe spaces to explore their feelings and to make connections about how those feelings affect their behavior. Encourage them to seek out supportive communities online. In addition, help your teen prioritize in-person social connections through family and friend gatherings, organized sports and clubs, and religious and spiritual services and practices. And identify the trusted adults in your community they can turn to for help. Our last tip is to help set healthy boundaries and limits on how your teen uses tech and what they do when online. Make sure using social media doesn't get in the way of adequate sleep. Set expectations around tech use before bed and create bedtime routines like a relaxing bath, diffusing lavender, or playing soft music. And rethink how you talk about stranger danger. Online, it's common to become friends with people we may never have met in person. Given these realities, telling your daughter not to interact with strangers isn't very realistic. Walk through potential scenarios and explain why it's risky to share personal information like full name or location with strangers online. Try not to be judgmental about their emotions and experiences, and keep the positives in mind when you feel the urge to cut off your teen's social media time completely.
So, one of the primary ways is definitely taking social media breaks. If you find yourself just endlessly scrolling, or while you're scrolling, you're realizing that you're having a really strong emotional reaction to the content that you're viewing or accessing, that's a cue that you may need a break. And that's okay. You won't miss any viral moments. If it's something that's important, someone will share it with you. The other thing is using the filter and the block functions that exist. That's creating a boundary as well, in that if you're constantly seeing content from a certain creator, brand, agency, or company that's affecting you negatively, your mood or your thoughts, that's probably an account that you want to reconsider following, and constantly filtering out the list of people that you're following.
Messages and images of Black Girl Magic as being leaders and taking care of so many others have begun to also include taking care of ourselves. These are essential messages that we're passing down to our daughters and the next generation. To end on a positive note, here's a word from Eli.
I just pray that it keeps getting better, but I also just want all Black girls to know that at least we see each other, you know?
If you found this episode helpful, please leave us a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe to stay up on all these new centered episodes. And for more tips, advice, and family media recommendations, visit us at commonsensemedia.org/blackvoices.